#1 since 1998 on television, ESPN Radio, and the World Wide Web. This is the Pro Wrestling Report with your hosts, the man they call Meathead, Frank Cosentino, and Damian Nelson. Professional wrestling news, opinion, and information from fans for fans.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report. Primetime. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside David Octavius Hero. David, it's been a while since we've been in the same room broadcasting together.
You know what? You finally showed up.
I've been a busy man, you know.
Oh.
Sinatra sang a song called Mr. Success.
You're down hanging out with TNA.
Why you gotta do that?
Hey,
yeah, you heard I got kicked out of catering.
Yeah, but I saw the video. Was that you in the video?
No, that was not me in the video.
I looked twice, even 3 times.
Thank you for tuning in wherever you may be all over the world. It is Friday, January the 22nd, 2010, and a lot to discuss this week. And David Hero, we're going to start off by talking about the news that broke earlier in the week, and that is that Awesome Kong almost broke the jaw of Bubba the Love Sponge. Let's set it up for you, folks. Bubba the Love Sponge, obviously a correspondent for TNA Wrestling, and
Hulk Hogan's best friend.
For unfortunate reasons, had obviously made some disparaging comments about the situation in Haiti, which we will not repeat, and showed up to TNA and got knocked the heck out, basically.
Walked into his dressing room, pow, pow, pow.
Awesome Kong lashed out.
3 shots to the face.
Been a stout supporter of Haiti throughout all of this, and Bubba, with those comments, no words needed to be said. Awesome Kong just lashing out immediately at Bubba the Love Sponge. Now, 2 things to discuss. Firstly, your opinion of Bubba's performance the 2 times we saw him on TNA air, and the situation specifically with Awesome Kong.
Well, let's be fair to Bubba. First of all, he's a radio personality.
He is.
Okay? His shows that he does
are horrible,
well,
in my opinion.
I've known Bubba for a long time. I've liked Bubba.
So you can't say that they're horrible.
No, you know, I don't listen all the time. But, you know, Bubba and I do have a history. And he's never done this before. He's never stepped into the camera setting of a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So give him some time. You know, I mean, I think he did better than Mike Adamle, you know, and if, you know, you give him a little bit of time, a little bit of coaching, show him what he has to do. Let's face it, he's just been thrown in a spot because he's Hogan's buddy, and it's not working out yet. But
it doesn't appear as if we're going to have a chance to find out if it's going to work out, because
He'll
Bubba
be back.
reported it. Bubba reported it, though, as he was told he was not needed at the production meeting that day. Left out the point about being beat up by Kong, and said he was not needed at the production meeting, got called off, doesn't agree with Bischoff, doesn't support Bischoff. Dixie needs to take her company back, blah, 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 blah. Again, all about Bubba. My personal opinion, and as I said on ESPN Radio this past Monday night, I've listened to Bubba's show. I've given Bubba's show a chance. I find him to be obnoxious, overbearing, and typical loud radio jock. And I'm not saying all radio jocks are like that, but he is just...
Are we considered radio jocks?
Not at all. Well, I'm a jock, of course, but not... in that fashion.
Gotcha.
Have you watched Blue Mountain State? Yeah.
Excuse me?
Blue Mountain State, new show on Spike TV.
No.
Apparently Spike TV is a pay channel now with what they're showing at 10 o'clock at night on that channel. But
Really?
be that as it may, yeah, they had this I can't even repeat it on here.
Sounds like rhymes with.
You ever see the James Bond film Octopussy?
Yes.
Well, Bubba gone.
There's an Octopussy?
Kong sent home too, apparently, as a result of this. And
Well, she was sent back to the hotel.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you want to see Bubba continue in TNA?
I think he can be good for TNA.
Is he? What benefit is there for he or TNA to continue that
His
relationship?
listeners.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? You got guys like Bubba, Howard Stern, Jim Rome, who have, even Meathead, they have their clones, okay? And they march, you know, to whatever they tell them to do.
That is correct. That is very true.
And there's the
as
Bubba
we know,
Army.
And the Bubba Army, who was slighted and really started the negative part of this relationship at the Live Impact back on January 4th. Yes, his audience, great. But his audience is already completely aware of TNA wrestling.
Keep in mind, though, since Bubba's been there, all Bubba's been doing has been talking about his problems with TNA.
True. But even
On
before he
his
got
radio
there,
show.
let's not forget it was Bubba the Love Sponge that broke the story, at least on a national scale, about Kurt Angle, Karen Angle, and Jeff Jarrett.
See, Bubba's good for TNA.
I completely disagree.
Well,
And that's okay.
that's what we do.
Awesome Kong scored a lot of points.
Hey,
Not
you know
because
what?
she beat up Bubba, but
God
because
bless
she
Awesome Kong for being so
being about something.
passionate. And I hate to use that word all the time, but she believed in something, and she drove her point home.
Absolutely, with fisticuffs. Jeremy Borash, JB, no longer in the back for TNA Wrestling, at least as far as on-air television role goes. Let's set the foundation for this one as well. It was a couple of years ago when Eric Bischoff said in an interview that Jeremy Borash does not belong on TV. I believe he even went as far as to call him obnoxious. And then we see this past Sunday at Genesis, Jeremy Borash being relieved of his on-air duties by Eric Bischoff, and subsequently Jeremy has done some interviews and indicated that he's not quite sure what his role in the company is going to be. And you got to look at a JB who was completely entrenched and involved in just about everything happening in the company, was on the booking team for a period of time. He, much like everybody else, showed up on Sunday and saw the four-sided ring in TNA, didn't know anything about it, completely excommunicated, if you will, from the business happenings of TNA Wrestling. Now
we knew about it before the talent knew about it.
that is very true, actually.
Right?
Yes. Check the tweets. But JB, is it a work, or is he truly gone from TNA, which is the same thing?
I think it's a complete work. He's too talented. He knows way too much. Plus, he knows where all the bodies are buried. You know, I mean, he knows way too much about that company. And he does the house shows. He does the spin
Ring
cycles.
announcing.
He does announcing.
And he did allude to the fact that he may continue in the online roles and spin cycle roles and things of that nature. But, but Christy Hemmy's doing a great job, by the way.
Christy Hemme was made for that role in wrestling.
Yeah. Do you want to see JB come back as an on-air role with TNA?
Not yet. I think keep him off for a little while, make it mean something when he does come back. But right now, Bischoff and Hogan, and I don't mean to say this in a derogatory way, but they're trying to get the stench off the old TNA product.
Was there a stench?
It wasn't doing anything.
But was there a stench?
Yeah, I think there was. I don't think it was as good as it could have been.
Definitely true.
So they're going to clean it up a little bit, polish it real nice. You watch. I mean, everyone's a little critical right now of what Hogan and Bischoff are doing.
As long as you don't sit here and say that we're going to see...
The Nasty Boys?
No.
We've seen them already, haven't we? How'd they do last night? I forgot. They did show up, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
JB, I've said many a time that JB is one of the hardest working men in the wrestling business. He did a lot for TNA. He's been with TNA since day one. I'm not sure that has any value with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, but to take him off TV as such, I don't think that was the right direction to go in.
One of the things that hurts JB is that him and Jeff Jarrett are like this. Yeah. That's Jeff's
Well, and
boy.
quite frankly, JB is all about JB. And kudos to you, because it's all about self-promotion, which he does a very good job at. And we'll see where that goes over the course of the next few weeks. Last Sunday at Genesis, David, two big debuts, Brian Kendrick and Ken Anderson, making his arrival in TNA Wrestling. Your thoughts on those two people now being a part of TNA Wrestling?
I was surprised by the response that Kendrick got. I thought the crowd was behind him. They were happy to see him.
I think there was genuine surprise. I don't think anyone was thinking about the Brian Kendrick, and thus we're surprised to see
His
him.
music has to go. I thought
People love it. We've gotten some
I
feedback
thought
on
it was
that.
terrible, but that's just me, you know.
Just-
And Ken Anderson. Anderson shows up. That's why I ordered Genesis. I don't know about you.
You.
know? But, I mean, I thought Ken's intro of himself to the match was great.
Yeah, they handled that very well.
Unfortunately, the match with Abyss wasn't as strong as I'm sure he would have hoped, or Abyss would have hoped, or the wrestling fans would have hoped. But look at the size difference between the two.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how big Abyss really is. until he was next to Ken. And but no, I think Ken's in the right place. It's definitely at the right time for him, and big things are going to happen for Mr. Anderson.
A lot of people were calling for it. A lot of people were waiting for it. And the reaction, though, that Anderson got from some of the TNA loyals in the Impact Zone for Genesis was, I would say, a bit surprising. Specifically, calling him overrated. And one fan even doing what I've only seen happen twice in the business. The first time was Jeff Jarrett in the Impact Zone. Turned his back, crossed his arms and turned his back. A showing of pure disrespect. But quite frankly, the message was made very clear. Obviously, Ken was in a unique spot. No one knew that he would be taking on Abyss that night, as it was advertised that Abyss would be taking on Bobby Lashley. And then to come out and perform, I thought, very well in a match that fans had no reason to care about. It was a unique situation for him. But it felt good to see Ken in TNA and working again and on TV. And also, how was his wrist after the match, Dave Euro?
You know, he was shaking it a little bit.
Where did we get that idea from?
Kind of reminded me of when he was on that last match on Raw, you know?
There have been a lot of discussions, and we talked about the fans in the Impact Zone, and there have been a lot of people with a lot of very strong opinions about TNA's address to the fans in the Impact Zone that happened just before this past Monday's Impact tapings. David Hero, you just saw it today in video form. TNA Director of Production, Steve Small, came out and really had some things that were necessary to say to the fans in the Impact Zone. The question, though, that has been raised is, how dare they and why now? And after seeing it and seeing what he said, which was basically, you need to behave yourselves, you are extras in a TV show. Your thoughts on what you saw of his address?
There's no difference than if they're taping
Springer. Let's just go with
that. Well, even your show, Seinfeld, you know? I mean, I'm sure they have a live audience at some points, you know? Behave. You're a guest. You are coming in for free.
But it's a wrestling show.
It doesn't make a difference. It's still a TV show.
But they haven't said that in the 4 years they've been there.
It's a new company. Hogan and Bischoff, they produce TV shows. That's what they do. You know what?
So do you want them sitting on their hands? Is that what they were asked to do? I mean, you've seen the video.
I saw the video. I mean, was it a little bit too much? Yeah, but I understand what they're trying to do. You know, I've, done a few shows in the past, and nothing can ruin a good show more than ridiculous fans that think they're smarter than everybody else.
To that point at Blizzard Brawl 5, during Ken Anderson and Armando Estrada's tribute to Umaga, they were talking about Eddie, and some fans said Guerrero.
You know what, though? I honestly believe that guy...
Oh, no, he didn't.
How many wrestling fans know that Umaga's real name is Eddie?
No, okay, I get you on that point, but
right?
This man did it to be an obnoxious ass.
Oh, okay. Well, we got to talk to Meathead about that then.
So they didn't cross the line, but they walked up to it. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's their show.
Absolutely. But they've never done it. And the impression that's given is these people who have been loyal and showing up every week to the Impact Zone to be a part of the TNA revolution, if you will, are now being unappreciated.
Remember when Goldberg burst onto the scene?
I still have the sound bites.
And they pumped Goldberg into the show. Why did they do that? Because they wanted to get Goldberg over.
Right.
They wanted the people at home to believe that 20,000 people were chanting his name.
And it worked.
And
never got out, because it was really before the height of the information age that we're in.
Now, here's an example. They bring in Ken Anderson. Okay? Ken's getting paid a pretty solid dime to be there. And now they're going to, do a lot of good things with him. Obviously, if you've seen the spoilers, you know what direction they're going with him. They don't want that live audience to chant overrated or boom or whatever else when they're investing money and time to build this character into the right direction.
The question is, though, doesn't WWE have the same right? And the answer to that is, WWE is not on a soundstage. They have advanced technological ability to cover
everything.
Exactly.
Look at SmackDown.
It's all piped, basically.
ECW.
Or, and the perfect example, specifically during SmackDown, is watch it when people are cheering or booing and it sounds a little odd to you. Look at the fans, because most of the time they're not doing what you're hearing, and I don't fault them for it. That's TV. It's more important for the 2 million or 3 million or however million watching at home to believe something than the 1,000 or 15,000 in the arena. And if WWE were in the same situation, they would do the same thing, I think. As a matter of fact, if you've been to a WWE televised event, they go through a whole laundry list of things as far as rules prior to the event.
And let's face it, to tape a TV show is expensive.
Very. Talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
A live Raw is about $750,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to figure Impact is around maybe 300, scaled back.
You got to pay for satellite time, even if it's
You
taped,
know.
or you got to pay for
So, I
production and all
mean,
that.
you got a small window to get your message across, and the last thing you want is some jabroni sitting there and trying to, become part of the show when he's really not.
But here's the thing that I think is being misinterpreted. They never said, Steve Small never said, here's what as far as cheering for the wrestlers, here's who we want you to cheer, here's who we want you to boo. There's not an applause sign hanging in the Impact Zone. And I think that's the track that a lot of people have taken this story on, is that the fans are being told who to cheer for, when to talk, when not to talk. When that's not the case, what they've been given are guidelines to fit within the parameters of the product that they've chosen to participate in and be a part of for TNA Wrestling. Now, I wonder if WCW did the same thing at the MGM studios or Disney's Hollywood studios when they were taping worldwide there. I would imagine they probably did.
The thing that everyone's forgetting is that TNA is so new. They have so many people that are so young in the business, I guess.
Like the Nasty Boys?
Inexperienced.
Like the
Nasty Boys, they're going to be tag team champions pretty soon. You just watch.
Could you please retract that statement?
Yeah, I hate that to come true, But I mean, they're just so inexperienced. They have so many people that have never been a part of something this big before.
Yeah.
So, whereas with Vinnie Mac, no one can touch his production.
Absolutely.
It is A1,
It's on par with the NFL, NBA, major sports organizations. It's on par.
I think it's even better at times.
Mm-hmm.
So TNA has to figure out what they're going to do. They're going to, bring some people in, take some people out as far as their production goes. But I think they're on their way, going down the right track. I don't think that some of the people that they brought in are going to be there 6 months from now.
Right.
But they're brought in because they're going to help get certain people over.
And here's the challenge. A lot of us as fans sometimes get a little too caught up in the moment. And looking at, we've been knocking the Nasty Boys. The Nasty Boys have some value. I think their value is substantially diminished because they haven't been on a national scale in a number of years.
They just won a big match last night.
I think their value is substantially diminished because they haven't been on a national stage in a very long time. But here's a little piece we sometimes miss. 6 months down the road, you see this new star, and you think back to where they came up through, and you're like, oh, this person I'm now cheering for was being put over by the Orlando Jordans, the Sean Morleys, and the Nasty Boys of the world. Wrestling companies do that, and as we said on this past Monday's ESPN radio show, you can't fairly evaluate or come to a decision on the direction of TNA right now. You can do so in 3 to 6 months.
I'm saying 6 months to a year.
Okay, fair enough.
I would give them at least a year.
Fair enough. And they're going to make mistakes. They're going to have complete failures. But with failure comes success. And they're going to have successes as well, just like WWE has failures. WWE has successes. What have we had? 2 Raws now where there was just some type of a botch that ruined the whole thing pretty much. Orton and Kingston, and then...
But that was more Randy
DX.
blowing out of proportion. Nobody would have noticed.
A little bit of a temper.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Was he in that movie, Anger Management?
No,
I thought he might have been.
Not that one. I think it was with what's his name? You've Got a Gift. What was that one called?
You think the direction so far of TNA Wrestling is on par with where they need to be? They're focusing on the right talents, doing the right things.
Orlando Jordan? No.
OJ?
No, not at all.
All right, Orlando Jordan, Nasty Boys.
I think they can use
right
the
now,
Nasty
hired or
Boys.
fired?
I would keep the Nasty Boys more than Orlando Jordan.
Okay.
Just because the Nasty Boys can help elevate some of those tag teams.
Like?
Mornandez.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear you say it.
I mean, really, think about it, I mean, I think that they could have some good work where they could give Hernandez and Morgan and Edge.
Here's the piece that's missing with the Nasty Boys and the Orlando Jordans of the world. TNA they don't have the ability to show its fans what they've done. Meaning, they can't put together a video package and show how good they were or how good they are, because WWE owns all that, obviously. So, whereas if they were coming into WWE, you would have all this historical footage and you have the ability to put them over before they came in. TNA just simply does not have that ability.
The Nasties are going to be there for maybe another month, and they're going to be on their way out.
Mm-hmm.
They're just brought
And
in.
I think at that point it will have all made sense. I hope at that point it will have all made sense.
Orlando Jordan, that one I still can't figure out. I really can't. He's irrelevant. You know, he's a talented guy. You know, he's got the right build and everything else, but
He was best when he was part of the cabinet.
Yeah, the Bashams.
He was a 6-month U.S. champion, I believe, too. Was Orlando Jordan, OJ, and WWE.
So, of all the guys that have come in so far, fair to say that Ken Anderson's going to get the biggest push?
Over Hardy?
He's not there yet.
Oh, he was there. He's busy.
Jeff Hardy has not signed an official TNA contract yet.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. He doesn't necessarily have many more options right now.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, from what I heard is that Vince was so upset when he saw Jeff Hardy on TNA, he ripped the monitor and tossed it down the hallway.
Listen to this. It took how many weeks for them to take Hogan and Flair out of the WWE signature intro? The next broadcast that either ECW or SmackDown that week, Jeff Hardy was out.
Yeah.
That's malice. That's spite. That's pissed. That's angry. And
He's hot. He was saying
justifiably so, because WWE, you know, they tried everything they could to
they
get
stuck
Jeff.
a lot of money into Jeff Hardy.
Yep. And, you know, he gave them pretty much a story that he was leaving because he wanted time off. Now, I appreciate it from Jeff Hardy's standpoint. Why wouldn't you work with TNA? Keeps you in the business. Schedule's light.
3 or
You get
4
paid.
times a month.
You're relevant. Your value may increase. I get it. But if you're WWE, I'm not sure if they can help but
But
take it
here's the
personally.
thing, though. Working with TNA, he can still do other appearances.
Absolutely.
Whereas working for Vinnie Mac, they may charge $30,000 for Jeff
Yeah.
Hardy to show up and do an autograph signing.
And take some of it, possibly.
Oh, they do take some of it.
And right now he's worth, what, 10 to 15 grand on the indie circuit?
When he wants to do it, absolutely.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with you. The direction so far has been solid. I disagree, though, that, you know, I think we've got... I like what they're doing with Flair. I want
That
to
is
see...
the best thing they've done yet, is Flair and AJ together
Absolutely.
and AJ as a heel.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say I like AJ, but
He's important.
He's far more relevant. He's so much more important because him as the All-American good guy wasn't doing it. Now with that edge, that evil Ric Flair, you know, in his corner, it's going to be some good stuff.
And back to the TNA address, if you will. You know, what you heard last night, unless they were able to get it out, which I wasn't able to completely tell, you are married to AJ. Well, he's talking about, you know, these women that he's whining and dining and whatnot. It's
Right.
because, you know, wrestling is a detachment from reality. Play along with it. It's fun.
See,
you
it's
know?
a TV show.
Yeah. And I can understand, though, how wrestling traditionalists and the fans that TNA has raised, will not be able to appreciate that because TNA hasn't been a TV show.
You know, this is TNA's fault, though, if you really think about it, because they are so fan-friendly.
Yeah, right.
Dixie Carter embraces everyone and poses for pictures with everybody and invites the locker room.
Growing
to
the
show.
company fan by fan.
Yes,
And
and this is what they got out of it.
Yeah.
They got people that feel that they are now part of the company
Mm-hmm.
and that they are just as important as their top stars.
Right. And will unknowingly harm those top stars with their behavior.
Oh yeah, they're trying to get
And
AJ
be able to
Styles
justify
over.
it.
Trying to get AJ Styles over as this,
Which
new
is what everybody's
bad
always
guy,
wanted.
and then they try to make fun of it.
One big controversy surrounding TNA's change in direction is the move from 6 sides to 4 sides as it pertains to the wrestling ring. Your thoughts?
They had to do it. Like I said, they had to get.
But it was their signature. TNA, the 6-sided ring,
No, their
they went hand in
signature
hand.
now is Hulk Hogan. The red and yellow is now the signature for TNA. You know, Hey, the original plan was on January 4 was to have Hogan and company come out with sledgehammers and chainsaws and destroy it on TV.
Yeah.
You know, here's the thing: when people are channel surfing, I know Jeff Jarrett wanted it, so people would stop to see what's going on. Hogan says, "Hey, it's a wrestling ring. It's 4 sides," and I was actually surprised to see how well a lot of those guys were able to make the adjustment, because a lot of them had no idea that was happening at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. And that's the key, because we've talked to several talents on the show, and they said it really isn't that big a difference, 6 sides versus 4 sides. However, if you are psychologically prepared to enter either ring type and have to go into the opposite, that's a difference.
How smart is Hulk Hogan? He's almost booed out of the building by saying, "Brother, it's a 4-sided ring to wrestling," and they're chanting, "We want 6 sides," and whatever else. And he turns it around by challenging Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
And boom, he's babyface again.
And though, I don't remember if it was he or Bischoff that said it, but that only got you so far. You know, the truth hurts sometimes, and that is the harsh reality of it. TNA was growing steadily but slowly, and whether this works or not, you know, that's still to be determined, but they're taking the chance.
It's going to be interesting because Bischoff has said he's not a fan of Daniels. He's not a fan of Eric Young. Hogan doesn't like the suicide character. Those are some of the guys that TNA was built upon.
Right. Yeah. And it's business, unfortunately. And it's almost like new owners coming into a radio station. You're just waiting to be fired because they're not going to keep you. And it's not personal. It's just business. But enough about TNA wrestling. The WWE Royal Rumble is next Sunday, and we've got a unique situation panning out as it pertains to the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. For the World Heavyweight Championship, it's going to be The Undertaker versus Rey Mysterio.
2 babies.
And on the Raw side of things, for the WWE Championship, it's going to be Sheamus versus Randy Orton.
A heel and a not-so-heel.
Unique strategy by WWE.
Yeah, I mean...
You mean a true heel?
That's right, yeah.
I'd like to ask you, though, before you answer that question.
Yes.
It was about 2 weeks ago on Raw.
Okay.
I believe there was a contest, and it featured some performers by the name of Evan Bourne and Cody Rhodes. Do you remember the scenario that ended that matchup?
Yeah, Cody had a handful of tights, right?
No, he had him by the tongue.
Okay.
Mr. Heenan.
But here's the thing, though. Who got the world title shot the following
No,
week?
sir. That wasn't the
Who
question.
got the title shot the
Your
following
Honor,
week?
Your Honor, that wasn't the question. The question was the end outcome of that matchup, as you saw it. Or did he put a switchblade too?
No,
You're going to
listen.
channel Jim Cornette now?
Cody Rhodes did pin Evan Bourne.
And did we
1,
or
2,
did
3.
we not determine that that would be the determining factor as to who was over or not?
I don't remember that one. Maybe.
Of course you don't.
Did we?
Were you in Massachusetts earlier this week?
How about that, huh? You were distraught, weren't you?
Heel versus heel, face versus face.
Well, I think this is the time when they turned Randy Orton babyface.
How long's it been? 5, 6 years? It's 2004 when Evolution turned on him. They had
I
that.
mean, it's a great match for Sheamus. I mean, even though he is a transitional
It's not a
champion.
shame.
You know? No, this is great. A transitional champion like Sheamus getting to beat...
Are you being facetious?
I'm being honest.
I thought a transitional champion lost in their first defense.
I'm just... everyone out there is smarter than me, so I'm just calling him what they say he is. It's going to be a great match. But Sheamus goes over on Randy Orton.
He has to.
Which sets him up to be a strong champion going into WrestleMania.
Against?
Triple H.
You sure? What about Cena?
Absolutely.
What does Cena do then?
There's rumblings. It could be The Rock. And John
The Rock,
Cena.
who has said publicly that he will absolutely work with WWE again in the future.
I don't think they need The Rock and Cena when they got Bret Hart and Vince. That match
Well, remember,
is going to
didn't
happen,
Cena
right?
challenge The Rock 2 years ago?
Yes.
Don't you? You just need to stop. I heard that.
Well, just making sure it's going to happen. I don't know. I mean, I've been gone for a couple weeks.
All of our sources indicate that, yes, that match is still
Okay.
going to be happening, a street fight between Vinnie Mac and Bret the Hitman Hart.
But here's the thing. If The Rock comes back, he shouldn't put over John Cena. John Cena, I mean, you know what?
Cena, who may be having some back problems.
I may have John Cena blinders on, okay? I don't see it.
You can't see him.
I can't see him. He's had an amazing career, but for me, as a wrestling fan, purist, whatever you want to call it, it would break my heart to see The Rock lay down for John Cena.
But you know that's what's going to happen.
Because, let's face it, you look at the careers,
yeah.
John Cena pales in comparison to The Rock.
But there are so many similarities between the two.
Well, one's become a successful movie star. Okay.
I like what Ted DiBiase and or The Miz had to say about the Marine part. No, it was Ted DiBiase and Cody, I believe, on Raw this past Monday night, talking about the Marine Part 1.
I didn't see that.
What was it compared to? I forget, but it was a good little storyline with them. But you know, in summary, this the Royal Rumble.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back. Evan Bourne.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, he did.
You gotta do this, don't you?
No. I just gotta.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He's the kind of guy that you can beat, and he still gets cheered every week.
Absolutely, I would agree.
And that's why they brought him back. And they brought him back with Sheamus because he's the all-American babyface that Sheamus can beat up.
You know, let's rewind to when Sheamus won the WWE Championship and the world revolted. Now look at where we are.
Yeah, he's going to headline WrestleMania.
I mean, not even going forward, but right now, look where we are. You know, Sheamus is, you know, you wondered what was happening with him the weeks after he won the title. It's like, where's the champion? How are they using the champion? Slow simmer. And, you know, it's been an ascension.
They're doing it the right way.
Yeah. TNA Wrestling, overall, direction I think is solid. You can't, and again, you can't really judge what they've done. You look at any company that's been turned around, and you don't have to just say wrestling companies. You look at any company that's been turned around, there's turbulence. People will come, people will go, things will get tried, things will work, things will fail. I give them credit for trying. I wonder, though, how much control Dixie is maintaining. I also wonder how much she should, because you always need that final person with good judgment to make the right decision. Vince McMahon to Vince Russo. And I'm not saying Dixie's that person to Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, but Eric Bischoff, proven success. Whether you agree with it or not, he was very successful in WCW. As Vince said, you know, it takes a real son of a bitch to be successful in this business.
And let's not forget what really killed WCW was all those creative control contracts.
And the fact that it is a defunct organization of wrestling that was put out of business and purchased by WWE in 2001. It was the AOL Time Warner merger and the lack of network support that really put the death pin into WCW. But at the same time, it was dying well before that. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. We're going to be on that radio station, 540 ESPN. I almost forgot for a minute. We're going to be live on 540 ESPN this Monday night.
Huge guest coming on.
10 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, right after WWE Raw. Be sure to tune in to that. And also, if you haven't done so already, head on over to WrestlingRadioAwards.com and vote for your favorite professional wrestling radio show. The Pro Wrestling Report nominated in 13 different categories. That's going to be broadcasting at 4 o'clock. You weren't over yet. That's going to be broadcast at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern on the day of the Royal Rumble. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be a part of that broadcast with our Royal Rumble predictions. It's going to be over at WrestlingRadio.com. For David Hero, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of PWR Primetime.